on May 12th, 2023, I am in a room, a bedroom, and I am connected with Jesus Christ, okay, in this dream. And I'm looking at this bed. It's just like the bed is to the left of me, like way back up in the corner. And on this bed, I heard this word, the Yanuka. And it was spelled out like this for me from Jesus, for a reason. Yanooka. But Yanuka is spelled Yanuka. And that's like a Jewish rabbi, teacher. Then I heard someone say, I think I'm one of the witnesses. And they bought the robe. And then when I looked at the bed, they had it spread out on the bed. The garment was on the left. And then Jesus says, a liar. The left is always a bad thing. Then I went into a living room, but this robe had like rainbow spots on it. Blue, orange, yellow, red, purple, and they were just spots all over this robe. So then I went into a living room, and two men with black hair were saying, I think he's Jesus! Exclamation point. Then I was looking at the man saying, I love Jesus. Because Jesus is like in the dream with me. And I'm telling these people how much I love Jesus. Jesus who's giving me this dream. And then I said, he's so beautiful. Then the fake Jesus was there. There was a fake Jesus that entered the room with a fake covering, not of God, on his head. And Jesus made sure I knew that. Going to perform a wedding on a Wednesday. And I now was looking at the man as if he were Jesus. He had brown hair, brown eyes, like everyone else. They were marveling at him because he was claiming he was Jesus. And he was a rabbi, and he was going to perform a wedding on Wednesday. Now, if you look that up in the Jewish thing, you'll understand. But even though Jesus was giving me this dream, and he's like in my mind, I could feel his anger at me, like even looking at this fake Jesus, that I even knew what Jesus looks like, and I was like, oh, yeah. So when this guy comes in, a lot of people are going to be fooled, and I tell you what, it's a mess for you to be with God, and then his jealousy, to look at that. Wow. That's all I got to say. Jesus is a very jealous God. You can't even look at anyone like that and claim that. No. Then I'm looking at the people on a couch, and I knew it was another country. It was the same men as before, but the fake Jesus left to go do that wedding ceremony. And they were watching TV with no sound. The sunlight came in on the right. I was standing to the right, and the two men said, I wonder if that is Jesus. But they kept watching TV. Then the couch was on the left side of the room, and they just watched TV, and I just stared at them wondering what they were watching, because there was no sound coming out of the TV, and then there was like a brownish gold curtain just blowing breeze barely in there, with like barely sunlight coming in there, but it was fully sunny outside. So I think that has some significance to it. So then I go to an old man's garden. He hires me to help tend his garden. He had all vegetable plants, flowers, beautiful garden. Then I'm back in the USA. I don't know what country I was in. And doing spiritual warfare. and I see God's angels fighting huge demons. So I went and helped out like I always do. This snake, I took Jesus' sword right through the top of this snake's head. This snake's head was probably about, well, the snake itself, I think it was like a 5-story tall building, and it disintegrated. There were so many demons in this particular city. Then I just got right into fighting as I usually do. Then I was in a ghetto neighborhood, and it had a bunch of drug addicts in it, bunch of drug dealers in it, and I seen so many black men shacked up with women, not working, selling drugs, having sex with these women, and I could feel God's anger like coming through me. Okay, so I'm dealing with all this from the false rabbi Yanuka all the way to now this, feeling God's anger. So then I see this, I go down the street to go look for more demons to get rid of. Then I see this green snake, and I knew it was a demonic snake. And then I took the sword through the top of what its head was. Then it turned into a green limousine that would go through the neighborhood as a poisonous thing for that community, and people followed along with it and didn't care to work, on drugs. I mean, their clothes hanging down underneath their butt cheeks, underwear dirty, no shirts on. God was getting more furious. So I put Jesus' sword in there, and then I seen so many people with that limo snake. Whatever they had in that limo, they were distributing it through that whole ghetto neighborhood. And it was a ghetto because they liked their lifestyle. Let me get that straight. It was made well known to me that they liked their lifestyle in that neighborhood where they didn't have to work, they didn't have to get married, they didn't even know God at all. And mind you, I'm feeling God's anger. Okay? Jesus allowed it to filter through the neighborhood. Then I went back to the old man's garden, and Jesus was spying on me. In this dream, he's spying on me, even though he's connected to me, and I felt him like behind me, okay? He was looking at me, what I was doing. That's how jealous God is of you being around any enemies, okay? And I looked at this old man's garden. The grass was now all dried up. It had no flowers, no vegetables, nothing there. I told him, meaning the old man, I quit. There's nothing here for me to do. So I went to the back room of, like, his house turned into like a small business. So I walked through the door and I went and walked to the back room. Then I was noticing that there was chemicals all over the place. And then I passed a table, a silver table. It was like, it reminded me of like the silver tables that you lay a body on, but it wasn't like that. It was just flat. And so then I walked by this silver table, and there was an old man on the left on this table, on a silver table. So that's God's judgment for like type of people like this old men that didn't care nothing about anything but their garden. Okay, we now have no social life. They were all about the look of their homes, their life, entertaining, not getting into family, not being in a godly way. So as I'm walking by, God just like zoomed me by, so I would not look at the old man because he was in hospital clothes and had an IV, and I knew he was very sick. So if you're not with Jesus, and he didn't believe in God, there was no God. He just believed that he made his life beautiful and not Jesus. So then I go to the back to the locker, and then I go, and it's like on the left at the very bottom. I open up the locker. The locker is like a strange gray beigey color, and I open up the locker, okay, and then I go to take out my belongings because I quit. It had paper towels, all strange paper. I didn't even want it, so I closed it and went outside and said out loud, "The old man, you should have built something." And Jesus said, "Are you in love with that fake Jesus?" So Jesus goes back to the beginning of the dream and then says to me, "Are you in love with that fake Jesus from the beginning?" I got hammered by Jesus about that. Even though he was giving me the whole dream, the whole everything, I was hammered. He said the locker was a fake Jesus medal on the lower left, ugly high school beige. I mean, Jesus is yelling this. The fake witness robe had all colors of the rainbow. He says this, "The true ones I see were straight from God, sober-minded and very fierce, very knowing that role and couldn't do it, God's will." And I was told about the Yanuka. All I know is this was a series of people, and this is a warning that whoever this fake Jesus is coming in, a lot of people are going to be fooled. Even though I was connected with Jesus, he was connected to me, but with me, like in the background. And believe me, from this dream, I'm still in trouble today, asking for forgiveness over a dream that he gave me. This is how jealous God is. And so I think this says a lot that it's getting time for this fake Jesus thing to start happening in another country. And a lot of people are going to be fooled by it. So this was the dream, and he wanted me to share this with you.